back to Alice the Cat's Red Pen Editing Sessions. On today's episode, this program may contain graphic and dark content that may be distressing for some viewers. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. If you would like to sign up, please send me a link to no more than 2,000 words. On that note, we're going to read today through Chapter 1, The Absence of Presence. And I hope you guys really enjoy, and let's get moving. All right. I apologize ahead of time for sounds of like puking or coughing because it's gross, but I just got over COVID about a week ago now, so I may burst out into some coughs, but yeah, I'm feeling all right, so we can do this. So, the absence of presence. The summer sun danced on the Long Island Sound, illuminating the Plum Gut's turbulent, treacherous waters. A half-mile-wide channel, the Plum Gut separated Long Island's North Fork from the isolated Plum Island and the Atlantic Ocean beyond. At the channel's midpoint, white-capped waves lashed against the large, sea-stained stones of a small island on which stood a squat, cast-iron lighthouse resembling the metal coffee pots of bygone days. All right, so we're not really off to a great start here, and here's why. So, it's too alliterative. There's too many words. The words that are chosen are, the words themselves are distracting. So, the summer sun danced. So we start with the cliche. Like, that's fine. I get the image. I've seen it. On the Long Island Sound, which, if you know what that is, you kind of can get an image, which, fair enough. Illuminating the Plum Gut's turbulent. That's just already kind of like a lot. Like, turbulent, treacherous waters. Like, I think you get one of those words. You don't get both. A half-mile wide channel, okay, describing it. The Plum Gut separated Long Island's North Fork from the isolated Plum Island, which, like, okay, it's being explained to us what it is, but, like, is this what we want? Okay, maybe it is. At the channel's midpoint, white-capped waves, so now we're back to imagery. So we switched from imagery to narration, back to imagery. And, it's a little jarring. At the channel's midpoint, white-capped waves lashed against the large, sea-stained stones of a small island on which stood a squat. See what I mean by, like, there's just too much? Like, lashed is a verb. Like, sea-stained stones of a small island. Like, there's just too much here. Like, it's just too thick for just to say a lighthouse stood on the corner. Right? Now, I get that you're trying to be, like, fancy with the words and, like, be poetic and, like, draw people in, but it's not working. A battered, splintered dinghy laid toppled on the island's stones alongside two... Oh, I should finish my disclaimer. Warning, the following program is recorded live. I think I already said that, but these are dark roasts. Like, if you don't know what you're signing up for, that's because you didn't read the disclaimer. So, yeah, I will not be conforming to any rules on any other sites. I just want to make that clear from the offset from people who are, because someone accused me of being, like, vile and vitriolic towards them, and, like, okay, like, you didn't know what you were signing up for? That's on me. This time, people will know. I was much more delicate with my words last time, I suppose. This time I was pretty blunt with what people were signing up for. So these are dark roasts, and they may contain heavy sarcasm. So yeah, anyways, moving on. And foul language. A battered, splintered dinghy lay toppled on the island's stones alongside two cracked sculling oars stamped Port Jefferson Rowing Society. The word sawdade, I don't know what that is, hand-painted in elegant white lettering, beckoned the dinghy's stern. Becketed? Bed-decked? The dinghy's stern. Okay, so there's just a bunch of, like, words that I just don't know or care about, and I'm already kind of bored. Like, it's just so dense. It's just like, here's some really dense information that, like, sounds like poetry but reads like a textbook. Beatrice Fernandez... Oh, Jesus, better not be a person. Beatriz Fernanda Janosta de Costa... someplace. bare feet planted on lighthouse's gallery deck, sea wind, whipping her white, high-waisted shorts and black lantern-sleeved button-down, trained her pocket binoculars. What the fuck am I reading? Dude, come on, like, listen to this. Proper noun, another noun, but like not just feet, bare feet planted on the lighthouse's gallery deck, sea wind whipping her white, comma. I think you're comma splicing a lot. I don't really know what that's about. Like, you've done this a couple times with these commas. Whipping her white, high-waisted shorts in black, comma, lantern sleep. Like, I get it. You're trying to make a list because it's, like, supposed to be grammatically correct, but, like, every fucking thing here has, like, 2 modifiers already. Like, I'm 3 paragraphs in and I can't parse a damn word of this because it's unreadable. Like, I'm just, like, it's so thick with words that, like, lantern sleeve button down, trained her, pocket binoculars in the distance, endless horizon. Like, that's a lot, dude. 3,000 miles away, imperceptible beyond the vast, unforgiving ocean. Like, what's the point of this part? Boom. See what I mean? That's the first edit I've made, and I can go back in every single sentence and do something like that. 3,000 miles away, her motherland, splendid Portugal. Beatrice recognized her gaze's futility. Woe is me, where is my fainting couch? Not even the strongest spyglass would allow her to glimpse the country she had left behind 12 years ago. Or 12 years earlier. Yeah, but I mean, like, no shit. Like, why do we need, like, okay, fine, you're telling us that she's gone 12 years ago, but why do we need this part about, like, not even the strongest spyglass? Like, dude, it's across the ocean. No shit. This is kind of implicit. Like, how about just 12 years earlier, shortly before her 5th birthday, and never returned to? Like, this in... I'm really sorry, I keep coughing. COVID is seriously no joke. 12 years earlier, shortly after her 5th... I'll try to start muting it. Of course, I can't mute it very easily. Very frustrating. I can't edit and mute at the same time. Yet she wasn't looking to see, but rather to remember, or, more precisely, inspire memory. Like, come on. So far, here's our plot. Some lady stands by the Long Island Sound, thinking about home in Portugal, where she left. Like, do we really need this? Like all this, blah, 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 blah. Like, where's the action, dude? All right, despite the distance, the physical proximity to her home country, so now we're just, like, repeating ourselves, enlivened, which is just, like, a strange word that no one actually uses, roiling, another word that no one uses, within her swells of childhood sentiments, so now we're using cliches, and recollections she believed long forgotten. How could she believe them long forgotten if they're recollections? You can't have it both ways. This is an oxymoron. So it's not only trite, it's cliche, and it's an oxymoron. Great. Caught in memory's unyielding riptide, so tripling down on the cliches now, she was swept away by the warm, invisible currents that had defined her brief time in Portugal. Okay, so you don't win points by randomly adding this type of punctuation, and you also don't win points by adding commas, and you also don't win points by just describing every word. Like, ooh, look at this word warm. Why don't we make it like a mellow warm and add another word? You see what I mean? Like, ooh, invisible. Why don't we go with the word nearly and add an adjective? Don't do that. Don't do either of those. It's bad. The country's humble nature, not just the country's nature, but the humble nature, which, like, okay, fine. Portugal's humble, fine. Its people's proud disposition. So we do have an echo. We don't need this. Like, it's like humble nature, it's people's proud disposition, the wondrous landscape, and a comma splice, and also a period and an independent clause that does not belong. Her non-character of a grandmother. Yes, her dear beloved Vovo. I think we could just go with, and of course, her dear grandmother, Vovo. See? We don't really need, like, yes, which is, like, weird. It's like the narrator talking to us, like, yes, I, your narrator, of course, am talking to you. Suddenly, like the receding waters that precede a great tsunami, the currents inside her shifted. So now we're appealing, like, we're doing the like the sympathetic nature fallacy, where we're taking a human emotion and we're likening it to the thing that is metaphorically happening in the story, but it's metaphorically happening. It's not actually being emoted through the story. So we actually have no plot. We just have like 3 layers deep of cliches. This is a problem. Becoming cold, swift, and tempestuous. Okay, this writing is tempestuous. Beatrice struggled against memory's unrelenting, so now we're using the word memory again, unrelenting undertow. Why does everything need a modifier? Mentally gasping, comma, flailing, screaming as she whirlpooled deeper and deeper into recollective darkness, a darkness containing at its bottommost abyss a single sunken remembrance. This is terrible. This is what they call purple prose. Like, we've gone so far into flower language and poetry that we've actually lost the fact that we're writing prose and we don't really know where we are anymore. Like, we're just kind of using words and none of them seem to be making any sense. Certainly we have no plot. Like, here's our plot so far. Some lady stands near a lighthouse looking over towards Portugal in Long Island, and she left and she's thinking of home. Okay. Do we really need this many words for this? I'm really sorry I keep clearing my throat. It's really bad. I'm really struggling to, I don't know, not have COVID. Because I had it 14 days ago, but like, anyways. I cannot say that. Blah, 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 nada. Carlota Fernandez Ribeiro da Costa placed a spongy pau de lo, smelling of zested lemon and fresh orange peel before Beatrice. Wax hurried down the cake's 5 crooked candles, their melting exacerbated by the fierce July heat. I copied Sonora Maria. Oh my god. I get these are like names that are like kind of being used as like memes. Like inner world memes. Like, isn't it so goofy that they use these long names? Like, yes, it is, and I agree. But it's making it really hard to read. I copied some long person's recipe. I know it's your favorite. Oh, wait. I may have skipped something. Carol placed a spongy smelling zested lemon and fresh orange peel before Beatrice. Okay, so we actually have a character here. We have Carlota now and Beatrice. So we have 2 characters staged. So Wax hurried down the cake's. It's weird that Wax is hurrying. I wouldn't have described Wax hurrying. Down the cake's 5 crooked candles, not just candles, but crooked candles. They are melting, exacerbated by the fierce July heat. Funny that we're using this like random punctuation again. I copied Senhora Maria Machado dos Santos's recipe. I know it's your favorite. Oh, brigada vovo, Beatrice replied, her childish voice squeaking. She blew out the candles, and acrid-smelling smoke filled the cramped, unventilated kitchen. I guess we can go with cramped, unventilated kitchen. That's actually, of all of the offending sentences, this one's not the worst. As Beatrice forked the plain, yellow confection into her mouth. Okay, this is not a real word. This is not a real word. This all here is not a real word. This is not a real word. Stop making up words. These are not words. She forked the plain yellow into her mouth. Carlota Fernanda shuffled to the shuttered window, forcing it open with a resounding bang. Not just a bang, but a resounding bang. This is not a real word, by the way. A cool, salty breeze wafted in, swaying the mismatched iron pans hanging from their high wooden rack, not just their wooden rack, but their high wooden rack, and sending them clanging against the faded, cracked thingy that I don't know, this is actually not a word, adorning the kitchen walls. Okay, this is... Do we really need all this to just say, like, a breeze shifted some iron pans? Like, why do we need every single word devoted to this? This is not... What the fuck is happening here, and why are you telling me this in this many words? Blah, 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 blah. Carlota Fernanda leaned her tanned, liver-spotted forearms on the windowsill and, squinting against the blazing afternoon sun, gazed down on the bustling place below, which sounded livelier than usual to her. Today is a special day, Carlota Fernandez said in Portuguese, for you and our city. That's why I've planned something special. 5 is a good age for beginnings. Your great-grandmother let me first touch flour the day I turned 5, and not a day has gone by my hands have not been stained white. I'd like to pass the same thing down to you. Start a beginning of your own. Okay, this is good dialogue. It actually is. I have nothing bad to say about it. I think it's well parsed. I think it's well grammared, and I don't think it's choppied with the like meta narration that a lot of authors like to do, where they'll like randomly put like a break here that just says she began, and then it like continues. So this is good. I think of all the writing, this is the only paragraph I've liked. Okay, you're going to teach me to bake? Beatrice asked. Carlota Fernanda laughed. Not quite, mi amor, which I think means my love, but I don't really know. I was thinking of something a bit more aventuria, which I assume means adventurous. Beatrice's eyes widened. Confection coated, this isn't a word. Fork halting midair. We're going on an adventure, question mark? Si, mi amor. Or I guess sim, but it's probably yes. Carlota replied, this is a problem with grammar. Should be a comma. Very small error, but it is an error. Carlota Fernanda replied, turning to Beatrice, yet Carlota Fernanda's kind, friendly countenance, not a word, the only one Beatrice had ever known her to possess, had suddenly vanished, replaced instead by a sour, fearful, and, let's choose a third word, vindictive expression that, let's keep adding words, electrified, a cliche, the fine few hairs on the back of Beatrice's neck. Okay, this is not a... no. Nope. We don't need any of that. It's too much. It's slowing down the dialogue and it's not adding anything. You just spent like 3 sentences telling me that the hair on the back of her neck stood up because her mood changed. Like, who cares? And by the way, this is all telling, so this isn't even showing. Like, her, like us being shown her hairs raising up usually indicates fear, which, like, I don't know. It's just, the whole thing seems weird. But you must never, ever tell your mother about it, okay? It will be our secret. Promise. Some groomer stuff. Promise, Beatrice swallowed, crumbs tumbling from the corners of her mouth. Excelente, some lady said, the familiar warmth returning to her face. Now, get your loafers. We have some walking to do. Okay, the same pervasive writing issues as we got in the intro are in chapter 2, but there was a little bit of characterization and there was some unique voice. So not everything was a total failure here. There was some things that are like commendable. It's not the worst writing I've ever read. But it overall is not accomplishing what you want it to because it has no flow and it has no tempo. And the tempo is always broken up by just why are there so many commas and so many like words that are modifying other words? Okay, let's keep reading a little bit. Portimao's narrow, cobbled streets brimmed with festivities. I kind of like that, actually, brimmed with festivity. Beneath the cloudless sky. Weird little unnecessary comment, Mark. Locals and visitors alike crowded the outdoor cafes with their wide umbrellas lolling over the wooden tables. This is not a real word. Another spliced on independent clause that should be less than a run-on sentence, but instead you can't help yourself, can you? Crowded the countless stucco-walled shops. It's not a real word. Some old and crumbling, I do not care. Others new and pristine, I do not care, and it should be implicit if one is old and crumbling. All adorned, not just all with colorful paper garlands and wreaths crowded, and the food stalls are still adding these things. With their charcoal grills spewing night black smoke in the Brazil. Okay, this that I'm highlighting and bolding, this is not a sentence. Okay, that is not a sentence. That's like 2 paragraphs, and it's unnecessary. Above it all, from somewhere among the rooftops, a young woman accompanied a guitarra this is actually not English. Rather than just me memeing, I actually have no idea what that is, sang the mournful melody of a fado song. Okay? Beatrice gripped her grandmother's flowing skirt as they squeezed their way through the crowds. Where are we going, Vovo? Oceano Muai More. Okay. The ocean, she desired nothing more. To Beatrice, the ocean was the boundless unknown. She believed you could find anything in its vastness. Another weird colon. Why are we using these? Creatures more beautiful and terrifying than anything anyone could imagine, including the author. Ancient sunken islands teeming with gold and treasure, and perhaps a period at some point, maybe? Even her own father alive and well, exactly as she remembered him. Okay, so all of this just to slip in the fact that she's got a dead father. I get what you're trying to do with your fancy writing, but riddle me this, fancy pants. No one can understand this or give a shit because why would they when we have to parse through this much information? It's so dense. And it's like not even like the good kind of like academic Noam Chomsky dense. It's dense like stop. Like stop. In the ocean, Beatrice saw a microcosm of life itself, complete with all its mysteries, possibilities, and yes, even its miracles. Ah, yes, me, the narrator, its miracles. I'm not even gonna like just try to edit this. Get rid of it. Ha, mar, imar, her mother scolded. Okay, I don't know why that's scolding, but I kind of understand why we're using the word to tell us that it is. I'm not going to complain. Ha, ir, el voltar. If she's talking about Voltaire, I don't know. I have no idea. There is C and C. There is going and coming back. Oh, this is the translation. There is C and C, her mother scolded. There is going and coming back. Okay, I don't understand that, but I am not of the culture, and I don't understand it. Beatrice's mother, oh God, another crazy name, had spoken those words countless times, repeating herself over and over, like the scratched record she played day in and day out in her living room turnstile. Like, fine if we really need to know this about her. Like, if this is the most characterizing thing about this character, fine. But, like, it just seems out of place. Despite the record's constant skipping, kind of like this reading, Beatrice knew their songs by heart, could recognize them anywhere. Another colon that we don't need. That melancholy young man. This is not a real word, by the way. This one, unironically, is not a real word. You'd want melancholic. I guess you could use melancholy. It just seems weird. Melancholy young man strumming his guitar, singing about the women he loves, he misses, he can never ever have again. Oh, where's my fainting couch? A semicolon to continue the train of loose thought. And there, as always, me the narrator reminds you, was her mother, standing before the turnstile, splicing, splicing again, her gaze splicing, and splicing again, repeating with an echo. The ocean is a friend, the lady said. That night she found sand in Beatrice's loafers, and it is an enemy. It gives and it takes away. It sustains and it destroys. Copy and pastes and repeats itself again and again in this godforsaken world. You are never, repeated ever, going to need the ocean again. Understando? Please row understando. That's like a classic meme. Beatrice nodded, but she did not understand. No entiendo. I've rented a small rowboat, some lady said. Some lady that we didn't care about said. It's nothing much, but it will take us out to sea, far enough for you to get your feet wet, so to speak. It's more creepy language from this adult. But mother, said the ocean is dangerous, the child replied. That God placed monsters and sadness and everything else, millions of different things, and even my father at sea. That may be true, Carlota sighed, but that isn't reason he created it. The ocean serves a much more important purpose. What's that, Vovo? Oh, the grandmother. To be heaven's mirror. Oh, that's good. That's cute. I like that. I didn't like anything else, but I like that. All right, let's read the last chapter. Heaven's mirror tastes salty, Vovo, Beatrice said. That's kind of cute, actually. Licking the ocean water from her fingertips. It tastes like tears. I actually like this sentence. This is well written. Buckets, comma, fishing poles, okay, and metal crab pots, okay, piled at the rear, comma, splice, clanged together as gentle waves rolled and swayed, not just rolled, but rolled and swayed, the rowboat. Carlota Fernanda watched Beatrice from the bow seat, oars resting on her lap, a smile warming her face. A half-mile away, colorful fishing boats lined the beach. Sim, mi amor. Carlota Fernanda replied, "In fact, your great-grandmother once told me that each drop of water in this ocean, or in the ocean, is a tear shed for a sailor who drowns at sea." "Like my papa?" Beatrice asked. That's kind of good. This is actually good language. Like, all of this is actually, like, not terrible. It's interesting how good the dialogue is in this. Like, the characters are, like, pretty dynamic and seem to have, like, a really robust, I don't know, like, purpose, even though I don't really understand what that is. Carlota Fernanda, reddening, cast her eyes downward. "Sim, like your father." Several miles away, high above the Atlantic, thunder crashed. Fine. I think we could just go with this. I don't really think we need a reminder about that it's the Atlantic. I mean, it's a stupid nitpick, but "Look, Vovo," Beatrice pointed at the distant sky. "Those clouds are black, and they're coming our way." "I see, mi amor." Mi amor. Carlota Fernandez sighed. Sadly, "That's our sign to return to shore." Beatrice turned, disappointment distorting her face. Who's seeing this disappointment distorting her face? Like, is she POV or not? I don't know. It seems a little weird. "But we just got here, and we haven't even started fishing yet." "I know, mi amor," Carlota Fernanda lamented. "Dude, I don't want to read more. I just saw this more. But it's too dangerous. Ocean storms move quickly. Extremamente rapido. They can be on you before you know it. We shouldn't risk it." I think we can just get rid of that. Beatrice's eyes welled with tears. "But it's my birthday." "Same. It's also my birthday. Ooh. Carlota Fernanda, I don't know how the hell to say it. Expression broke. Jeez, man, it broke. It actually broke. What happens now? I mean, the story's over. It broke. Broke. Repeated. Like laden clouds releasing their torrents. Do we really need this? This is just flowery crap again. Broke like, oh my god. She was crestfallen, not a real word. Stricken with that extreme degree of despondency, not a word, that can only be produced in grandmothers by their own grandchildren. "I'm so, so sorry, my love," she replied. "We'll come back another time. I promise." "Not then, at that moment," said me, the narrator, "nor when she washed up among the fishing boats, alone, half drowned, nor in 12 years that followed, what the fuck is all this? Did Beatrice understand why she said her next words? I literally don't understand any of this. Neither before nor since. It's always some, whether it's black or gray or white. Like, we don't need all three of these, like, things. Like, we don't need all this. Neither before nor since had she behaved so bratish, so selfish, so like a child. Like me reading this. Ew. Her arms crossed her feet, stamping, her nose upturned. We don't need all this. They were words that would change the entire trajectory of her life. Another weird comma splice thing. The words that would put her 30,000 feet in the air on a one-way trip to Long Island. The words that would haunt and echo again and again the deepest abyss. Blah, 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 blah. "We're staying," Beatrice said, "or I'm telling your mother." Wait, so she's killing the kid? I don't understand. They were words that would change the entire trajectory of her life. The words that would put her 30,000 feet in the air on a one-way trip to Long Island. The words that would haunt the deepest abyss of her memory. The words that would condemn her dear, beloved Vovo. The same watery fate as her father. "We're staying, or I'm telling my mother." I don't understand. I also don't care. This is terrible. I think that this is the start of what good writing can be. I think that this hints at, and probably the author, my guess is here, does read a lot more than they write, and has probably not sought a lot of feedback in their writing career to point. I think it's time now to write the critique, and so it is time, it's time to write the critique, so fade out. Dramatic. Meow. Quick disclaimer. All critiques are subjective. I am not an editor. You should not trust a psychotic cat on the internet. Thank you again for joining. All right, so I thought that overall this was bad. So I think it's aggressively over impassioned. I think that it either makes up words or it actively and tactically makes esoteric word choices to nonce check the audience. It's an idiot check. And while it's busy idiot checking us, it instead serves only to confuse and befuddle the reader, because it is not at all impressive or engaging. There are so many times where I just found myself just like kind of low-key laughing at it, because it's just like, it's not readable. Like, there's no flow to it. There's so many different, like if I'm a computer, right, there's so many times where I have to just like stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. So the purple prose, as it's called, the poetic like puke that was just everywhere, was not contrasted well against the boring narrator timeouts, where the narrator is like, ah, yes, let me take you on a journey back in time to tell you all this crap you don't need and will not need to know. And it made the already slow plot drag even further than it did. So there were times where there appears to be a premise of subtext, like there appears to be something going on beneath the surface that is actually offering a more deeper, intricate look into, I don't know, whatever themes that this story maybe sought to explore. But the thing is that the execution and the extraction of those values gets very lost in translation, slogging through the actual prose and the dereliction to natural spoken read flow. There is a poetic stroke to this, and I mean that in a had a way, not the stroke of genius type of way. There is an implausibly high number of grammatical errors here to be a mistake, but instead is a systematic and systemic way that the language is crafted ad nauseam repeated. Sentence, comma, confused mixed metaphor, comma, echo, comma, trite cliche, semicolon, long meme name, confused sentence, mixture of topic antecedent, comma, identical information as above, comma, unnecessary synonym, comma, another cliche, comma. So this is kind of how I parsed and read it. Is that not how you spell metaphor? I guess there's no E. I don't know how to spell any of these words. Look at me spell checking. The grammar, aside from the run-on sentences, which is a huge problem, mind you, it's actually breaking. It's so bad, it's unreadable. But the grammar, aside from the run-on sentences, is actually not terrible. Specifically, the dialogue is the best part of this, as it holds some characters' voices to the litmus test of engaging and services to a larger character painting of some type. However, this is like finding a candle in a dark room. Everything is so dark and shadowy, lost behind the fog of mixed metaphors and impossible prose. Overall, this is not fixable and must be rewritten entirely, and a minimum of 50% words or more need to get removed. And I mean that literally, like every other word in this is not necessary. There is no need for about half of these words as written. There may have well been a deeper meaning to all this, but it is again lost in translation and its own distraction. The author chases their prose down the rabbit hole way too far. Meow. And that's really all I have to say about this, guys. Thank you so much for joining and allowing me to claw this up. And yeah, I really appreciate it. And thanks for joining. We'll be back again soon. Bye.